I think so. Jungkook whispered, his voice trembling but determined. Tae's smirk softened into a genuine smile, and he stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Good. Because I'm not letting you hide from me anymore, Tae said, his tone carrying that familiar commanding edge. As they sat down, the tension between them was electric, and Jungkook knew this was it, the moment he had to face his fears and his feelings head-on. With Tae's intense gaze fixed on him, Jungkook took a deep breath, his heart racing but his resolve stronger than ever. Mr. Kim, Taehyung, I think I'm ready to talk. Jungkook began, his voice soft but steady despite his shyness. Jungkook's voice wavered, but the fact that he'd said Tae's name, Taehyung, not Mr. Kim, sent a spark through the older man's eyes. Tae leaned forward slightly, his elbows resting on the table, his gaze locked onto Jungkook with an intensity that made the younger man's breath catch. The air between them crackled with anticipation, and Jungkook's heart pounded so fiercely he was sure it would burst. "You're ready to talk, Bunny? Then talk. I'm all ears." Tae's voice was low, smooth, and laced with that commanding edge that always made Jungkook feel like he was under a spell. Jungkook's fingers twisted nervously in his lap, his eyes darting down to the table before flickering back up to meet Tae's. The weight of those deep, piercing eyes made his cheeks flush, but he forced himself to hold the gaze, even if just for a moment. "I've been thinking about what you said. About me being yours." Jungkook started, his voice soft and trembling. Tae's lips curved into a faint, almost predatory smile, but he didn't interrupt. He simply watched, his silence urging Jungkook to continue, his presence dominating the room without effort. Jungkook swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I'm still scared. I'm scared because I've never felt like this before. Not with anyone. And you're so sure, you. And I'm just..." Jungkook admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. He trailed off, his shyness overwhelming him as he ducked his head, his bangs falling into his eyes. Tae's expression softened, but his voice remained firm, cutting through Jungkook's hesitation like a blade. "Just what, Jungkook? Say it." Jungkook bit his lip, his hands trembling as he forced the words out. "I'm just me. I'm shy, and I'm not bold like you. I'm introvert. I don't know how to be what you want. But..." Jungkook paused, his heart racing as he gathered the courage to continue. "But I want to try." The admission hung in the air, fragile and heavy, and for a moment, the room was silent except for the sound of Jungkook's uneven breathing. Tae's eyes darkened, a flicker of something raw and possessive passing through them. He stood slowly, his movements deliberate, and Jungkook's breath hitched as Tae moved to stand beside him, towering over him with that effortless dominance that made Jungkook's knees weak. "Try?" Tae repeated, his voice low and husky, sending shivers down Jungkook's spine. He reached out, his fingers gently but firmly tilting Jungkook's chin up, forcing their eyes to meet. "Bunny, you don't need to try to be anything. You already are everything I want." Jungkook's eyes widened, his face burning under Tae's touch. The sincerity in Tae's words, coupled with the intensity of his gaze, made Jungkook's heart stutter. But what if I mess up? What if I'm not enough? Jungkook whispered, his voice trembling with vulnerability. Tae's thumb brushed across Jungkook's cheek, a tender gesture that contrasted with the commanding edge in his voice. You could never mess this up. You're enough, more than enough. Your softness, your shyness, the way you're looking at me right now. Tae said, his tone unwavering. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that sent a rush of heat through Jungkook's body. It's all mine. Jungkook's breath caught, his entire body tingling at Tae's words. The possessiveness in Tae's tone should have scared him, but instead, it made something warm and undeniable bloom in his chest. He wanted to hide, to bury his face in his hands and escape the intensity of the moment, but Tae's grip on his chin kept him anchored, forcing him to face the truth. Taehyung. I think I feel the same way. I want to be yours. Jungkook's voice was barely audible, his big eyes shimmering with a mix of fear and longing. The words slipped out before Jungkook could stop them, raw and honest, and for a moment, he froze, his heart pounding as he realized what he just said. His face flushed a deep red, and he instinctively tried to pull away, overwhelmed by his own confession. But I didn't let him. His hand slid to the back of Jungkook's neck, his fingers curling possessively as he held Jungkook in place. Say that again. Look at me and say it. Tae commanded, his voice low and intense, his eyes burning with something that made Jungkook's stomach flip. Jungkook's breath hitched, his shyness making it nearly impossible to comply. But the warmth of Tae's touch, the unwavering certainty in his gaze, gave him the strength to try. He lifted his eyes, his cheeks still flushed, and whispered, I want to be yours, Taehyung. The effect was immediate. Tae's eyes darkened, a low, almost primal sound rumbling in his chest as he closed the distance between them. Before Jungkook could process what was happening, Tae's lips were on his, claiming him in a kiss that was both fierce and tender, commanding yet achingly soft. Jungkook gasped, his hands instinctively grabbing at Tae's shirt as his mind went blank, overwhelmed by the heat and intensity of the moment. Tae's hand tightened on Jungkook's neck, tilting his head to deepen the kiss, and Jungkook melted into him, his shyness giving way to the pull of Tae's dominance. The kiss was everything: fire, longing, possession, and Jungkook felt like he was drowning in it, but he didn't want to surface. Not when Tae was holding him like this, kissing him like he was the only thing that mattered. When Tae finally pulled back, both of them were breathless, their foreheads resting together as they caught their breath. Jungkook's face was flushed, his lips slightly swollen, and his eyes were wide with a mix of shock and awe. Tae's thumb brushed across Jungkook's lower lip, a possessive gesture that made Jungkook's heart skip a beat. You're mine now, bunny. No more running. No more doubting. Understood? Tae said, his voice low and rough, but there was a softness in his eyes that made Jungkook's chest ache. Jungkook nodded, too overwhelmed to speak, his shyness returning. His heart was still racing, but the warmth of Tae's presence lingered, grounding him even as his mind spun. Tae's lips curved into a small, satisfied smile. Good boy, Tae murmured, and Jungkook's face flushed at the praise, his body tingling with a mix of embarrassment and something warmer, something that made him want to hear those words again. Tae stepped back, giving Jungkook a moment to breathe, but his gaze never wavered. "We'll take this slow. I know you're shy, and I'm not going to push you further than you're ready for. But I need you to trust me, Jungkook. Can you do that?" Tae said, his tone firm but gentle. Jungkook nodded again, his voice barely a whisper. "To be continued."